Assalamualaikum students. I am Sir Satria Arjuna and this is a video lecture regarding chapter 3 requirements modeling. This is the textbook that we are going to do our reference to, and I hope you already have a copy of these textbooks. In the textbook it is chapter 4, and this is the learning objectives and chapter contents from the textbook. From our syllabus, these are the syllabus content. You may pause the slide to view the content of the syllabus. Here is the background of this chapter. The chapter in our lecture are organized into 5 phases: planning, analysis, design, implementation, and support and security. So for phase 1, system planning, we have covered it in chapter 1, introduction to system analysis and design, and also chapter 2, analyzing the business case. So we continue with phase 2, system analysis, with today's lecture, chapter 3, requirements modeling. Introduction to this chapter. This chapter describes the requirement modeling process, which involve gathering facts about the system project, preparing documentation, and creating models that will be used to design and develop the system. If you see all these processes, they are done before we create or before we develop the actual information system. System analysis phase overview. The overall objective of system analysis phase is to understand the proposed project. So to understand, we have an information system project and we propose to build that project. So the analysis phase, you analyze. Why do you analyze? To understand the information system project so that you know the business requirement, match the information system that you want to build, and then you have a solid foundation for that system development. And also in the part before you build the project, to communicate and to make people understand what you want to build, you will use models and also documents or documentation to visualize and also describe the proposed system. This is a figure talking about the system analysis phase task, which include the 4 main activities shown here. The first one is requirement modeling, and then data and process modeling, object modeling, and development strategies. Requirement modeling involve fact findings. You look for facts so that you understand and you can describe the current system, and identification of requirement for the new system, such as output, input, processes, performance, and security. The details is on the right hand corner. You can read at your own time. System analysis activities involve data and process modeling, object modeling, development strategies, which will come with system requirements document. In this phase, the skill that is needed by the system analyst is analytical skill, to analyze, and then interpersonal skills, because in this analysis phase, the system analyst will meet a lot of people and they need to communicate, to talk, to gain understanding and also to get facts. Because information system affect people throughout the company, team-oriented strategies should be considered at the start of the system analysis phase. So here in this chapter we will be looking at various team-oriented methods and techniques The first one is JAD. Remember JAD, Joint Application Development, RAD, Rapid Application Development, and also Agile methods. This you need to remember, yeah, the three team-oriented methods. We move on to JAD. Yeah, JAD have user involvement. User is a vital stake of information system because user use the information system, so the user need to participate fully. Yeah, the system must be user oriented, and one popular strategy for user involvement in development of the system is joint application development. The JAD participant and role. JAD participants should be insulated from the distraction of day-to-day operation, and objective is to analyze this existing system, obtain user input and expectation, and document user requirements for the new system. So you understand, you document, and then you propose the new system based on the understanding of the existing system. The advantages and disadvantages. It is more expensive and can be cumbersome, meaning that involve a lot of work. Group is too large relative to the size of the project, but it allows key users to participate effectively. Yeah, when properly used, JAD can result in a more accurate statement of a system requirements, better understanding, and also a stronger commitment to the success of the new system because you already involve the user, yeah, at the beginning stage of the development of a system. Now we move to the second method, which is RAD, Rapid Application Development. Okay, one of the differences, the end product of JAD is a requirements model, but the end product of RAD is the new information system. RAD is a more complete method with a 4-phase life cycle that parallel to the traditional SDLC phases. Okay, RAD, theme-based technique that speed up information system development and produce functioning information system. Yeah, rely heavily on prototyping and user involvement, just like JAD, user involvement, but this one, it has prototype. Yeah, process continues until the system is completely developed and user are satisfied. The RAD phases: requirement planning, user design, and then construction, and then the cut over phase. The objective of RAD is to cut development time and expense by involving the user in every phase so that the user understand, the user can give feedback, so it saves time. Successful RAD must have IT resources, skills, and management support. Help a development team design a system that requires a highly interactive or complex user interface. The advantage and disadvantages: system can be developed more quickly and cost saving because it reduces time. Does not emphasize on the company's strategic business needs. That might be the disadvantage, and also might allow less time to develop quality, consistency, and design standards. We move on to the third method, which is Agile method. Attempt to develop a system incrementally. Yeah, incremental, by building a series of prototypes and constantly adjusting them to user requirements. So you have a prototype and then you adjust, you build another prototype, you get the user requirement, and so on. Agile method emphasizes continuous feedback, and each incremental step is affected by what was learned in the prior steps. Some Agile method approach prefer not to use case tool at all, and instead use whiteboard, display, and sticky notes. Yeah, as shown in the figure on the right hand side. Yeah, the team is using a lot of whiteboard spaces and also sticky notes, yeah, to convey information. Another agile method approach is Scrum. Yeah, apart from using the whiteboard and sticky notes, Scrum is another approach. So the term Scrum comes from the rugby term as shown in the picture or figure there. Yeah, so but Scrum in an agile method involves the same intense interaction, but it is using mental and argument, meaning that every team members is in the Scrum, giving ideas, giving thoughts, input, yeah, to build an understanding towards the building of the system. Scrum session will have specific guidelines. It emphasizes time blocks, interaction, and team-based activities. So the members of the Scrum discussion or the Scrum team will play specific roles, including sometimes they are designated as animals. One group of animal will, for example, include the product owner, facilitator, development team, and the other animal group will include the user, the stakeholder, and managers. So they will argue, they will discuss, yeah, to get an understanding towards building the new system. The advantage and disadvantages of the agile methods: flexible and efficient. This is the advantage. Frequent deliverables constantly validate the project and reduce risk. An advantage: team members need a high level of technical and interpersonal skills. This can be a disadvantage because if the person lack of this, so they will not be able to contribute, yeah, in the team discussion, may be subject to significant change in the scope of the project. We now move to the topic modeling tools and techniques. So what does a model do? A model helps understand the design of a system. It can involve graphical methods, a non-technical language that represent the system at various stages of the development. Modeling and fact-finding are used interactively. Yeah, so the system analyst will do fact-finding and then get result from the fact-finding. Then from that result, they build a model, and looking at the model, they will decide whether they already have enough understanding or not. If still not enough or lacking of some information, they will continue with more fact-finding and then improve the model that they have built before. Various models and diagrams are used here, including decomposition diagram, business process model, DFD, UML, also case tools, and also FDD. Here we look at an example of FDD, functional decomposition diagrams. You may pause and look at the explanation and the diagram. This is DFD. Yeah, you might be familiar with DFD. Next is UML, use case diagram. Okay, here it shows how use case diagram is built or drawn and the explanation of the given use case diagram. Sequence diagram is another modeling tools that can be used in this stage. Now we look at system requirement checklist. System requirements serve as benchmark to measure the overall acceptability of the finished system. 5 general categories of the checklist is output, input, processes, performance, and controls. This is the output example of the system. Okay, you may read through. the input examples of the system, the process example of the system, performance example, control examples. Apart from building the information system, future growth, costs and benefits need to be included in the understanding of the system analyst. A system analyst therefore must consider scalability, which determine how a system will handle future growth and demands, and also TCO, total cost of ownership, which include the future operational and support costs. The first, we look at scalability. What scalability means is the ability of a system to handle increase in business volume and transaction in the future. So when you talk about scalability, you are always looking at the future. So when you build a system, you should put a projection of how long can the system operates without an upgrade. So if it needs to be upgraded, so you already know how to do the upgrade. So that is what you do when you talk in terms of scalability. So when the company grows, so you can scale up the system, so you don't have to change to a new system, but you can still use the existing system but upgrade, scale it up. The ability of the system to adapt changes coming from the environment. The environment can be outside environment, internal environment, and so on. A scalable system offers a better return on the initial investment, because the company will not need to change the whole system every few years. To evaluate scalability, you need information about the projected future volume of all input, output, and processes. Information about projected future. So you must have this information in order to do a scalable information system. TCO, or total cost of ownership, not only the direct costs, but also involve the indirect expenses or costs that contribute to TCO. TCO is very important if the development team is evaluating several alternatives. One problem is that cost estimates tend to understate indirect costs, meaning that usually costing is not that true to the actual cost. And then another issue in TCO is rapid economic justification, REJ, to justify economic growth or changes that impact the system. Next is fact finding. There is no program actually perform fact finding automatically, computer program that is. So what you need to do is you need to identify what are the information that you need, and then you need to develop a plan on how to get the fact, and that is fact finding. So definitely the questions that you need to ask is who, what, where, when, how, and why, and asking what is being done that could or should be done. These are the examples of questions that can be included in fact finding. Another method for fact finding is using the Zachman framework. Another important fact finding tool is definitely interview, and this is done in the system analysis phase. And interview will help you to identify the information you need and you can begin the interviewing process, which consists of 7 steps for each interview. Step 1, determine the people to interview. So who, because you are going to get to know about the system, and you need to meet the user of the system. So determine who or the people that you are going to interview. Secondly, establish the objective for the interview. Why? Number 3, develop interview questions. These are the sort of interview questions. 4 is prepare for the interview. Yeah, you don't go to the interview in an impromptu session, but you have to prepare with the questions, prepare with notes. The 5th is conduct the interview, meeting the people and listen. The 6th is document the interview. It's either you note taking or you can record, and then after the interview you send memo to express appreciation. Yeah, note the date, time of location, all the information regarding the interview. 7 is evaluate the interview, and of course, yeah, there will be occasion where some of the interviews will be unsuccessful. Other fact-finding techniques including document review. Yeah, you can understand the current system by looking at the documents, related documents. Observation, yeah, seeing how user use the system, how the system work. Also, you can do questionnaires or surveys. Yeah, questionnaires or surveys will be useful for a large number of people. Yeah, when designing questionnaire, it's very important to know the rule, the type of question to ask. You can have form to be filled, whether the form is printed form or it can be an online form. Sampling, yeah, the process of collecting examples of actual documents. Yeah, suppose you have a list of 200 customers, so you want to take 20 samples. There are various types of sampling methods: systematic sampling, stratified sample, and random sample. The main objective is to make sure that the sample is representing the actual or overall population accurately. The next fact-finding technique is research. It can be internet research, books research, magazine, and so on. There's a question between interview and questionnaire, whereby when you interview, you will be meeting people directly, but when you do questionnaire, you can cover more people, but you don't meet them personally. The need for recording facts. You have the information, you need to record it instantly. Use simple recording method in such a way that can be understood and organized. You can use software tools, case tool and productivity software, for example, Office, Microsoft Office or related software, graphic models, and so on. Preview of logical modeling. At the conclusion of requirement modeling, this chapter, system developers should have clear understanding of business process and system requirement. Yet the next step is to construct the logical model of the system, meaning that you understand the system, you understand the current needs and the current system, then you can proceed to construct the model. This is a chapter summary. You can pause the video and read through the chapter summary, the second part of the chapter summary. For that, this is the end of our video lecture. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum. Thank you for your time.